It has been a roller coaster of a season, to say the least, for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. As I record this video, they currently have a 4-3 record. And it's been a lot of great moments this season. It's been a lot of bad moments as well. And before I get into the rest of the roster here, and the same with Ben Johnson, I want to start off with Caleb Williams. This is not a Caleb Williams is a bust video. That he's terrible, they need to bench him. I still believe that he could be a franchise quarterback in Chicago. This is a player that is in his second year in the NFL. It is going to be growing pains. But with that being said, he has to be better. Caleb Williams and his accuracy has become a huge problem. Now, this was not a problem at USC. He was very accurate inside the pocket and outside the pocket at the college level. Even on the back half of last year, his accuracy was very consistent. But this season, he has been so inconsistent across the middle of the field, in between the numbers, on the out routes. He's overthrowing and underthrowing certain routes in this league. Mostly, he's overthrowing wide receivers. He has to tame that accuracy and the cannon that he does have. Against the Minnesota Vikings in the fourth quarter, he was putrid. Now, the play calling wasn't the best. They could not run the football consistently in that game. But you were still up 17-6. Your defense got a pick six in that game. All they needed was for Caleb Williams to go out there and to just complete 4 to 5 passes, and he couldn't do it. DJ Moore was open for touchdowns. He just didn't see him. And when he did see Rome Odunze, he overthrew him constantly in the second half. You may look at his numbers and you may say that this was not a bad game for Caleb. He was 21 of 35, 210 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. But you have to watch the game here. He has so many misses in that matchup. He wasn't the main reason why they lost that game. But when you are seen as a potential franchise quarterback, you have to find ways to go out there and to close out that game, especially with how your defense played in the first, in the second, and third quarter. And he was terrible against the blitz. Now, against the Detroit Lions, this was just a beatdown all around on the defensive end, special teams, and on the offensive end. And against the Lions, he had some good moments. Caleb Williams went out there in the first half, and in my opinion, he balled out. He did have a terrible interception in this game, but he had 2 passing touchdowns for 207 passing yards. And he kept the offense on schedule. Your defense just didn't help you out. You lost this game 52-21. But when you look at this 4-game winning streak here, Caleb Williams was playing at his best against the Dallas Cowboys. And I understand the Dallas Cowboys have one of the worst passing defenses in all of football. But he was still 19 of 28, 300 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is the Caleb Williams that you want to see. He was very decisive inside the pocket, making plays outside the pocket too. Luther Burden, the same with Rome Odunze, DJ Moore underneath, getting the tight ends involved. He was in a rhythm all the way through. And the same thing happened against the Lions in the first half. When you get him into a rhythm and you get him going, he looks good. But the problem with Caleb Williams, he is so sporadic with his accuracy. It was a pass in this matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's an out route with DJ Moore. He overthrows him to where he almost throws a football into the stands. And DJ Moore, he's smiling about it, but he's looking at him. He's just shaking his head. He's like, come on, man. He has to be better. That's not a coaching issue. That's a Caleb Williams issue. And we've seen Josh Allen in year 1 and year 2 have the same problems. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football right now. You're not going to hit on every single pass, but can you hit on the passes that matter? And a coach can only do so much about your accuracy. We've seen general managers go out there and basically they draft these big tight ends. They get these big wide receivers, basically telling you that, hey, our quarterback isn't that accurate, but if he puts the football up to this big target, he has a huge catching radius. He can come down with the football. But that should not be the case here. You selected Caleb with the first overall pick. You selected him over Jayden Daniels, over Drake May, over Michael Penix Jr., and the same with Bo Nix. And that is tough competition with Caleb Williams right now. Bo Nix is balling out currently with the Denver Broncos in the AFC. Jayden Daniels, even though this is a down year for the Washington Commanders, his rookie season was amazing. He helped take his team to the NFC Championship game, and it's not all just on the quarterbacks here. The teams last year that those players had were better than the Bears. They had better coaching. But Caleb still has some moments that make you scratch your head. But he also has these moments that make you say, okay, I see why the Bears selected him with the first overall pick. But in this game against the Raiders, they had 3 interceptions on Geno Smith. and you only won this game 25-24. What the hell is your quarterback doing for the rest of the game if your defense is able to go out there and take the football away at a high clip? And they blocked a field goal attempt to end the game. And the Raiders were still in this matchup. You won this game 25-24. Caleb Williams, 22 of 37, 212 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. Now, late in the fourth quarter, he did perform better. But in the second and third quarter, you're just looking at Caleb Williams and just saying, hey, where are you throwing the football to? No one is in this area. He's not a huge turnover machine. And part of that is because he's so inaccurate at times, even the defenders aren't even in the area of the football. I don't think there's a footwork issue. I think that this is a quarterback that is just putting too much on the football in certain areas of the field. He's trying to force the football into tight windows. He just doesn't have that accuracy. Against the Washington Commanders here, 25-24, yet again. Caleb Williams, 252 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions. He had a rushing touchdown. Now, the referees were terrible in this matchup towards the Bears. And it did come down to that fumble with Jayden Daniels and the running back, but you still won the game. But at the same time, you want to see more out of Caleb Williams. You want to cash in on those turnovers. When your defense is constantly taking the football away or they're sacking the quarterback and they force a 3 and out, you have to cash in on those mistakes. That's what franchise quarterbacks do. That's what Josh Allen does, Patrick Mahomes, Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix is starting to do it. Even Michael Penix Jr. has shown some flashes with the Atlanta Falcons with making teams pay if you turn the football over. Caleb just has to be better. And against the Saints here, this was not a good game for Caleb, not even close. I understand that the weather was a huge part of it, but you play in Chicago. What do you expect? You're going to have games like this in Chicago, especially November and December. There's going to be ugly weather games. Can he go out there and can he help them out in those tight situations where the run game isn't as consistent, where the wide receivers need him to lead them up the field, where he needs to throw a wide receiver open? Can Caleb Williams do that on a consistent basis? He's shown flashes of that, but he hasn't done it on a consistent basis for an entire game. The only game that he's done that on a consistent basis was against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys right now, they just can't play defense. Can you do that against elite level competition with the weapons that the Bears have given you? With Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, co-commit. We're seeing younger quarterbacks be better with less. And that's the only concern that I have with Caleb. I still think that the talent is tremendous, but he stands in his own way. If he doesn't work out in the NFL, this is not a Bears issue anymore. This would be a Caleb Williams issue. And I want to drive this point home. I'm really trying to make sure that this is not a video to where I'm saying that Caleb Williams is a bust and that he's terrible and they need to move off him because he's had so many great moments. And this is a quarterback that will forever get hate. That's just how it is. When he came out of college, you had so many reporters and scouts saying that he's the next Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback prospect that we've seen since Andrew Luck, that we've seen since John Elway. And I wish that reporters and scouts would stop doing that crap. Because some of the hate that he is getting is unwarranted. It's not his fault that he was hyped up to this level. That's on the reporters. But instead of lashing out at the reporters, you have a lot of Bears fans, they get on Caleb Williams. And the one thing that I noticed, a lot of content creators and a lot of journalists, they had nothing to say during this 4-game winning streak about Caleb Williams. Nothing positive. But as soon as they lost his game against the Ravens, they come out like sharks and they're saying, Caleb's not good enough. We told you he's a bust. Where was his energy in the 4-game winning streak? He was still having bad moments, but they were winning games. And I covered every game except for the Saints game here. And I said that against the Raiders, you still need to see more out of Caleb, but it's a good win. And the same against the Commanders because they bounced back from adversity. But right now, he stands in his own way. And against the Ravens, it was so many times where wide receivers are open. I don't think that Ben Johnson is a terrible coach. I think that Ben Johnson is one of the best offensive minds that we have. Rome Odunze is in double coverage. DJ Moore is wide open in the flat. He just doesn't take him. You have tight ends open in space. He just doesn't take them because he's comfortable with Rome Odunze. That rookie mini training camp, they built that relationship on the field. And reports came out that he was very comfortable with Rome Odunze. And we can see that right now. But he was still able able to go out there and find DJ Moore last season. He needs to do a better job with reading and reacting to the defense and scanning the field. But the run game over the last couple of weeks has been significantly better. For the first 4 weeks of the season, they could not run the football consistently. But DeAndre Swift, he comes out, has looked very good against the Raiders, has looked very good against the Washington Commanders. Now, he's dealing with an injury right now. He's playing through an injury. Shout out to him. Be careful with that, by the way, because it can get worse. So he's on a pitch count. They don't have the ability to go out there and give him the football 15 to 20 times every single week until he's fully healthy. But DeAndre Swift has been better over the last few games. The offensive line, they're still having rocky moments. Joe Thuney is still a very good football player. Drew Dalman is a very good center. Jonah Jackson, it's been a roller coaster with him. Darnell Wright, the same. Now they have Theo at the left tackle position. Braxton Jones is currently on injury reserve. Theo did not look good against the Baltimore Ravens. He was constantly getting walked behind towards Caleb over and over again by Mike Green. They need to see more out of Theo at that position. This is a contract year for Braxton Jones. And Ozzie has had some solid moments this season at the tackle position. So the offensive line is still inconsistent, but they're better than what they were last season. With having Luther Burden and all the weapons I mentioned before, the wide receivers, they're very good. So the offense here is still a work in progress, but it's mostly on Caleb Williams and at the tackle position. And I think that the Bears will bounce back next week. It may be a situation this season that they could possibly be 7-3. You face the Bengals on the road. The Bengals right now, very good offense, one of the worst defenses in football. Then they face the New York Giants at home. The Giants, they have a bad defense as well. Very good front seven. Their defensive coordinator is horrible in Shane Bowen. Then you face the Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. That's a rematch on the road. And usually, it is hard to beat the same team twice. So we'll see what happens. But if they're 7-3 and Caleb is performing better, expect for the narrative to change from a lot of people. But I'm still going to stand on the side that I've been on since last season. Caleb can be that franchise quarterback. He just needs to be better with his accuracy. Now, defensively here, they need to get healthy on the back end of this defense. And they need more out of Montez Sweat. The one player that a lot of Bears reporters are not talking about enough is Montez Sweat. They traded a draft pick to bring him in a few years ago, and they gave him a major contract extension. He's making a lot of money. Now, if he was just making $15 million a year, that's fine. He's making over that. Montez Sweat only has 3 sacks in the season, 2 forced fumbles. Not a bad football player, but he needs to be better. Grady Jarrett has missed time this year, but he's a very good run-stopping defensive tackle. Deo hasn't been that game-changing defensive end that they were hoping for, coming over from the Indianapolis Colts. He was better last season than he's been this season. They need him to step up, and they need more consistency out of him. And we've seen Deo go out there and be a very good run stopper, but they didn't bring him in for that. They brought him in to be a pass rusher. Tremaine Edmonds is still one of the best linebackers in the game. TJ Edwards has missed time this season, but we know when he's on the field with Tremaine Edmonds, that's a very good linebacking core, even though they are overpaid, but they're very good players. And a healthy secondary with Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, and Kyler Gordon, they can get things done. During this 4-game winning streak, they had a lot of turnovers, and they were blocking kicks. They just need more out of Caleb right now. Ben Johnson did get outcoached by Coach Harbaugh, but that is going to happen as a first-year head coach going against a coach that's in his 18th year. Let's be realistic here with the Chicago Bears. It's an uphill battle in this division. You're facing the Green Bay Packers in this division. There's continuity with Coach LaFleur and the same with Jordan Love. They have years underneath their belt. The Detroit Lions, they have ran this division over the last couple of years with Dan Campbell. And it took them time to get things going with Dan Campbell. It is going to take time here. I know that the expectation is high with Caleb Williams. But if you go out there, you win your next 3 games, 7-game streak, 7 wins to 3 losses. That's not a bad record. But you have to finish out games here if you are the Bears, and they need Caleb Williams to be more consistent. That's the biggest thing here. If Caleb can be more consistent for the rest of the season, you can win these football games. And if he's not more consistent with his accuracy, then that's the real problem in Chicago. And I still don't see them moving off of Caleb Williams after this year. Give it some time. I feel like we're in this part of the NFL where quarterbacks don't show everything that they have in 1 year. We're ready to move off of them. It was a hell year last year for Caleb. And I've covered this before with Matt Eberflus, the same with Thomas Brown, all those players, all those coaches being in his ear at once with Shane Waldron. It was just a bad time last year. But he has looked better this season than last season. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears for the rest of the season? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys to stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.